fantastic win. Probably the biggest upset of the summer split so far, in my opinion, with SK toppling H2K. We're going to take a look at some of the other players who we feel we should highlight this week as the 5 OP, as it were. Let's start with the man who had all the feels going. It is, of course, Jankos. He showed up big yesterday on Gragas, had a fantastic performance today. 86% kill participation, the highest of any jungler here in week 5. And with Jankos getting things rolling and getting his team on the go, he's going to be helping out his top laner, Steve, who turned around his opening 2 weeks' performances to get some really good kills on the board. Both games playing as Echo, 8, 6, and 15. And it was the first time we've seen Steve really get into the groove and really start to punish whoever was put up in front of him. The next man I want to talk about is Peke. And he played Vladimir, nothing too surprising, but what was great to see from Peke is just how he played aggressive early. The rest of his team's been carrying leading up till this week, and today and yesterday he picked up the slack. If you take a look at some of the damage on Varus, more than all of the Copenhagen Wolves combined. I think that's showing off, Peke. Now I'm going to challenge convention just a little bit and talk about some players who maybe didn't win all of their games, but I think they stepped up big. Betsy on Azir today, he picked up 7 kills on his Azir against Fnatic. He had some phenomenal Shurima shuffles, his positioning was good, and it's a performance that Betsy will need to keep doing if he wants to help turn Gambit's chances around here in the summer split. And there's one of those Azir plays we were talking about, really sticking it to Febiven. One more player, 0-2 on the week, however, a player that is showing a lot of versatility. Last week, Ryu played the Twisted Fate, the Lulu. This week, he plays the Varus, the Jace. These are vastly different playstyles. 69% kill share, 36% team damage versus SK. And if the rest of H2K had shown up a little bit more, maybe they could have picked up that win. So for Ryu, it's all about keeping that level up and picking everyone else up around him. That's our OP5 for the week, but there's got to be one that rules them all. And I'm going to hand it back over to the analyst desk to figure out who's our MVP.
Thank you so much, Quick Shot. Yeah, a lot of good players named already. The suspense. And, well, when it comes down to naming that MVP, we talked a lot about the Jace already, but one player really set the bar in week 5 for us. It is Fnatic's Febiven. Fantastic Jace performance. And Crepo, you called him underrated here before. I feel like, you know, when you do good in a good team, sometimes it's easy to...
Yeah, I got a lot of flack on Twitter where people were like, Crepo, of course nobody forgets to talk about Febiven, or no, he's not underrated because he's soloed Faker and all, but honestly, I just wanted to highlight that he's super solid.
Yep.
He is basically a player whose performance starts at like 60%. Every game you can rely on him to do slightly better than his opponent almost, and then it's just to see how far that varies up. In this game, he just played so fantastically well, and he straight up carried.
Yep. Very well deserved. Guys, anything to add?
Super well deserved. One kind of honourable mention on what has, I guess, been a historic day overall. We've had a little bit of history here for ourselves in the European LCS. Fnatic now with the largest European win streak. Shout out to Yellowstar. I believe he has the highest KDA of anybody in the LCS right now. He's been a big part of Fnatic's performance as well.
Definitely. Always is. Goes without saying. Now, with the clock ticking as we close in on playoffs, here is where the teams stand. Fnatic still in first. 10 straight wins over there. And they're at that top 3, though. Origin jumping over H2K. Well, quite interesting. We were talking a lot about the unbeatable #1 and then the top 3 versus the rest of the 7. In H2K's plays, are you guys seeing maybe something being able to shuffle there from other teams?
I mean, I think we do see some weakness in the early game for H2K when they're not in the lane swaps for a longer period, or if they don't manage to get their goal lead in that lane swap itself. So there's definitely things to work on for them. But the thing is, they are currently so far ahead of at least their 7 other teams, we can say. So they're almost securing that playoff spot, that they can afford to lose a few games, figure out some mistakes maybe, and then fix them before playoffs. That's what they're looking towards. But obviously, you want to secure that top 2. You want to get straight into the semifinal, so there's a higher chance of going to Worlds as well.
Hey, maybe H2K and Fnatic are just learning how to play from behind. We saw Fnatic, it's almost too easy when they win the early game, so they set themselves behind a little bit, and they said, nah, let's see how far we can go before we actually get close to losing a game. Perhaps H2K did the same. I doubt it. But yeah, they've shown some cracks, but honestly, they've also shown great growth over time. So I have no doubts that Prawley and the team will likely pick up that slack and hopefully fix it for next week.
Yeah, definitely. Finally, maybe about the middle of the table. I think you called Roccat as probably the team that could make that surge at the middle of the season and the end of the season. Hey, they've done it here.
They have it. Again, it's 2 wins. I'm not ready to throw out a Roccat celebration quite yet, but they do, in all seriousness, look better this week. If they can keep it up, no reason why they won't be, aiming for a good spot from the playoffs.
And the weird thing is, we have currently Giants sitting as number 4 and 5-5, and yet it never really feels like Giants are that much better than the rest of the teams under them. I mean, fairly inconsistent performance still this week. Then they lose the game today as well. And it's really weird to rate Giants. I mean, again, it's still better than what we expected coming into the split, but I still feel like all these positions all the way down can still change so much.
Yeah, super interesting. And with that in mind, we can look towards next week as we start with a clash between Gambit and the Copenhagen Wolves. And we'll have Giants who will face Fnatic. Tough task up ahead for them. And the Unicorns of Love will take on Origin. And that will also be our game of the week next week. So clear your calendar now. The action heats up here in Berlin next Thursday at 6 p.m. Central European Summer Time. That is 9 a.m. Pacific. But of course, you don't have to wait that long for your League of Legends fix. There's some North American LCS to hold you over until then. Starting tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central European Time, noon Pacific. And we're going to have Team Impulse taking on Gravity, Liquid versus the #1 CLG, and Team Solo Mid squaring off against Team 8. Can't wait for those matchups as well. But that's it for us from here in Berlin. We're going to pass the LCS baton off to our friends. I knew it. Baton?
I'm Danish.
Go ahead.
Yeah, all right, anyway, to our friends over in Los Angeles, on behalf of myself and the entire European LCS broadcast team, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, we'll catch you on the Rift.
Baton.
Baton.
Fnatic